The Land of the Old Woman. This is chapter 19. The children and the others were quite shocked at being thrown up the ladder through the hole in the cloud in such a funny land. It was quite small, not much larger than a big garden. It had a high wall all round it to prevent the children from falling off the edge of the land. In the middle was a very peculiar thing. "It's a shoe," said Joe. "Gosh, I never imagined such a big one, did you?" Everyone stared at the shoe. It was as big as an ordinary house and had been made very cleverly into a cottage. Windows were made in the side and a door had been cut out. A roof had been put on and chimneys smoked from it. A rose tree climbed round it and a honeysuckle covered one side. "So that's the shoe where those naughty children live," said Beth excitedly. "I never thought it would be quite like that. How did the old woman get such a big shoe?" "Well, it once belonged to a giant, you know," said Silky. "The old woman did give him a good turn and asked for him for the old boot. She had so many children that she couldn't get into an ordinary house, so the giant gave her one of his biggest boots and she got her brother to make it into a house. Look at all those children," said Moonface. "They're not very well behaved." About 20 boys and girls were playing round the house. They shouted and screamed and fought and wrestled each other. "I'm not surprised the old woman wouldn't allow them bread with their soup and punished them and sent them to bed," said Silky. "They deserve it." The children suddenly saw Joe and the others and ran up to them. They pulled Beth's hair. They dragged at the saucepan kettles. They made fun of Moonface's round face. They trod on Joe's toes and bumped into Rick. They were very naughty and very unkind. "Now you just stop this," said Moonface, looking angry. "If you don't, I'll fetch the old woman." "She isn't here, she isn't here," shouted the children, dancing round in delight. "She says she's going away and leaving us, and we're glad. Now we shall have bread with our soup, and we'll go in cupboards and open cans of pineapple and jars of cherry, and we'll sleep outdoors if we like, and we'll dress up in the old woman's clothes." "Whatever will she say to that?" said Beth in horror, thinking what her own mother would say if she stole her clothes. "Oh, she would be furious," cried the children. "But she's gone, so we don't know. Oh, we'll have a great time now." One of the children in the shoe called to the others, "Hey, I've opened a can of pineapple. Come and taste it. It's lovely." With screams of delight, the children rushed to the shoe. Joe looked at the others. "I've got an idea," he said. "What about telling the old woman about the children dressing up in her best clothes? She might rush back here, then get into her precious clothes, and we could slip down the ladder, go to Moonface's house, and bolt the door from the inside." "That's a really good idea," said Silky. "Joe, you go down and tell her." Joe was rather nervous about it. Nobody really wanted to go and see the fierce old lady again. At last, Rick said he would go. He badly wanted to make up for the silly things that he'd done a few days before. "I'll go," he said, and down the ladder he went, and he banged hard on Moonface's door, and the old woman opened it. "Old woman, do you want your best clothes?" began Rick. "Because if—" "My best clothes? I'd forgotten about them," cried the woman. "Those children will be messing about with them. Boy, go to my house, get out all my clothes and bring them down here. You can have a toffee for it." "Well, I think," began Rick, but the old woman wouldn't listen to him. She pushed him away and cried, "Go now! Don't argue with me! Go at once!" Rick ran up the ladder. He waited there for a minute or two, his head sticking into the cloud above. He saw the naughty children coming out of the shoe, dressed in the old woman's clothes, shrieking with laughter, and how funny they looked, dressed up in old skirts and dresses and hats. Rick grinned to himself and slipped down the ladder again. He banged at Moonface's door. "Well, have you bought my clothes?" asked the old woman, opening the door. "You naughty boy, you haven't." "Please, old woman, I couldn't bring them here," said Rick in his most polite voice. "You see, your children have taken them all, and they're dancing about wearing them. And they've opened your cans of pineapple, and they're going to take their beds outdoors and sleep there. And, oh, The bad, naughty creatures, cried the old woman. She gathered up her black skirts and climbed the ladder at top speed. She appeared in the land above and saw at once her naughty children dancing about in her best clothes. She rushed after the surprised children. So, you thought you'd do what you liked, did you? She cried. You thought I would never come back. Well, here I am, and I'll show you how to be sorry. She was so angry that she rushed around like a whirlwind. The children took off the clothes in fright and ran away like hares. The old woman ran after them, so angry that she didn't notice that Joe and the others were not her own children. They got whirled up in the shoe with the others. There they all were, about 25 or 6 of them. There was a big saucepan shimmering in the kitchen stove. Get the soup bowls, ordered the old woman. No bread for any of you tonight. Mary, Jean, Tom, serve out the bowls, and then come to me one by one for your supper. Joe and the others had bowls given to them too, but they didn't dare say anything. They went up for soup in their turn. The old woman ladled it out in big saucepan. She stared at old saucepan man when he came up. You bad boy, she said. You've played a game with my kettles and saucepans, I see. Wait till you finish your soup and I'll punish you. Poor old saucepan trembled so much that his pans clashed together loudly as thunder. He rushed back to his place at once, spilling his soup as he went. I want some bread, yelled a little boy. But he didn't get any. Everyone ate their soup, which was really good. And now you will all go to bed. But first, do you know what will happen to naughty children? Said the old woman as she shook her fist. All children began to howl and cry. We're sorry for being naughty, old woman. We didn't mean to dress up in your clothes. Oh, yes, you did, said the old woman. She beckoned Rick. Come here, you bad boy. Rick got up. He whispered to the others. Look, I'll let her punish me, and while she does, you creep out and run down the ladder. Hurry, I'll join you as soon as I can. Rick boldly went to the old woman. Put your hands on your head and stand in the corner, she said. Poor Rick, he didn't like it at all because it made his arms ache. He began to howl loudly as he could so that the others could creep away without being heard. One by one they slipped out of the door and rushed to the hole, looking for the ladder that led down to the faraway tree. Oh no, I believe this land is just about to move, said Moonface, looking round. A peculiar wind had got up and was blowing round them. Very often when the strange lands at the top of the tree begin to move, there is always a strange wind. Well, quick, let's get down the ladder, cried Silky. We don't want to live in the land of the old woman. I hate that. They all scrambled down the ladder, glad to be on the broad branch at the bottom. When they were safely there, Beth began to cry. Poor Rick will be left behind, she sobbed. Everyone looked sad. The land above the cloud began to make a strange noise. It's Moonface. It's moving on. We'll never see Rick again. But just then, someone came slipping and sliding down the ladder. Bump, bump, bump. And hey presto, there was Rick in such a hurry to get down before the land moved right away that he missed his footing and slid down the ladder from top to bottom. Rick, we're so glad to see you, cried everyone. What happened? Well, the old woman punished me, as you saw, grinned Rick. And then I went to take my place, and she saw you were all gone and sent me after you. I tore out and she came too, but I got to the ladder first, and now the land's moved away, so we're safe. Moonface went to his house, and they heard him banging about loudly. They went to see what he was doing. He's taking up the board that's nailed to the slippery slip, giggled Joe. Good old Moonface. I'm glad he's got his house back again for himself. Come on, we better go home. We promised Mother we wouldn't be long. It's a good thing. We can use the slippery slip. And down they went the hair streaming out as they flew down on their cushions. What exciting times they have, don't they? Well, I haven't had many slippery slip pictures, but do you know what? I'd love some. I've had a few though, so I'm going to send them to put up with this video. Take care, and I'll see you next time.